All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. You'll notice things are a little different, and you get Chris and I today. So,
and then there were two.
So it has been a crazy past couple weeks. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So anyway, welcome to our BG5 Live. You'll notice that the look is a little different, and I'll share with you why in just a moment. Today is March 3rd, 2020. This is episode number 42. And what we're going to be focused on today is trait number 30. My little dyslexia there. Oh, Lavina's here. Yay!
Yay! Awesome.
So what we're going to be focusing on today is trait 63.3. And what we're going to be taking a look at is doubt is an essential inspiration. So we're going to take a look at what doubt is all about in the 63. All right, but of course, before we get started, there's Lavina. Yay, great to see you. All right, well, before we get started, let's say hello to our panel. Hello. Welcome, Lavina. It's so good to see you. How are you?
Hi, I'm hanging in there. It's been a really tough couple of weeks, and I'm really excited to be back with you. Really excited to be back. Yay. Thank you so much. Hi,
everybody. Yay. And
We're
Chris.
So yeah, hey. Hi, everyone. Welcome. And Lavina, I'm so glad you're here. And I know both Karen and Natalie have been working on the new website, which Karen's going to tell us about. And Lavina, you've had some crazy stuff. And it's been a wild couple of weeks. So super glad you're here. Hi, everyone.
Yay. And Natalie is a bit fried at the moment, as am I. And we also want to apologize for not doing the BG5 last week. The technical issue was actually both Natalie and I were just completely fried with launching the new website. So we just didn't have the energy to do anything. So really happy to be back and nice taking a look at trait number 63. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. So first, before we jump in and get started, the big announcement, we have launched our new website. Ta-da! So I invite you all to check out the new website. It's been launched. That's why it's been a crazy week for especially Natalie and I the last couple of weeks. For those of you who have courses and classes, we literally went in and added each of the classes, each of the recordings, each of the students to every class so that you have all of the past resources there. So you'll see there's an entirely different look and feel. It's really beautiful and much easier and much nicer than the old website. Yeah, you can get a free report right up there. We have some really great features, so I invite you to explore. For example, if you wanted to get your BG5 career design chart, you can now actually get your chart directly on the website with all of the BG5 language. So we're really excited about that. And as far as BG5 Live goes, we actually have our own little section here in BG5 Live. So we have actually the theme for the day. So if you go to the main page of the BG5businessinstitute.com, scroll down, you'll see BG5 Live theme for the day. And so we decided to call this BG5 Live because it really is, basically it updates every 5 minutes. So you can actually literally see what the theme is for the day. So exactly what we're talking about here in the BG5 Live is what you'll be able to see on the website. And if you go to the BG5 Live, if you go to View Now, again, you'll be able to see the theme of the day. If you scroll to the bottom, it has all of the links in order to join us. So here's where you can sign up if you want to join us live in the Zoom room. Here's where you can catch us on Facebook and also our YouTube channel, where currently we have, that's where you can access all of our past BG5 Lives for now. We'll eventually get them on the site as well, but that's where you can access them for now. So this is our own little place for BG5 Live. So if you want to know what the theme of the day is, you can now look it up yourself and be able to find out what the theme is for that day. And even prepare yourself if you want to share anything as we go through. If you're here live, either in Facebook or in our Zoom room, you can prepare yourself by seeing what we're going to be discussing by checking out the website first. We're also going to eventually be able to set it up so that you can get an email each day, just letting you know what the theme of the day is. We don't have that set up yet, but it's one of the things that we're working on. So again, we're very excited. We have everything in one place now, so we don't have to do all kinds of different links. You can just go to the main website, scroll down, you'll see BG5 Live. And so that's why we have the new background, and we're very, very, very excited about the new website. So I hope you enjoy it. We're in that process where we just it was a major transition between the old site and the new site. So there's still a few bugs that we're working out. So I just ask each and every one of you to be patient as we get everything up to speed. If you are a current student and you're missing any of your workbooks or manuals or courses, just let us know. We did our best to make sure that everybody has access to everything they've purchased in the past. But because we had to upload everything manually, there's probably a few things that we missed. So just let us know. Also, as you go through the site, if there's any links that aren't working, any spelling errors, anything that you could see that can be improved, we appreciate that feedback as well. So enjoy exploring the new site. Again, we're very excited, and this is phase one. There's other things that are in the works as well, but we're excited to get this launched and get this started and really start, if you will, a whole new phase in really getting BG5 out there in the world. So with that, let's dive into what we're going to be taking a look at today. So what we're taking a look at is doubt. Doubt is what the 63 is all about, and doubt is also about questioning as well. So doubt is an essential inspiration. So if we take a look where 63 is located, it's located in the inspiration function. And doubt is essential for inspiration. It inspires us to look deeper, to explore things deeper, to question things and, not take things at surface level. So doubt actually is an essential inspiration. Often we think of doubt as something negative, but doubt is something that inspires questioning, inspires inquiry, inspires going deeper. It's mental ease mixed with doubt, right? Again, it's up in the head, this inspiration function. And in the spiral of life, all ends are beginnings. It's also known as after completion. We'll talk more about that as we go along. And it's after completion, but it's also always looking towards the future, right? It's part of the collective circuitry. So it's about sharing, and it's also part of the logical collective circuitry. So the theme is always looking forward into the future, and the future is dependent upon establishing with certainty the validity of a pattern. We want to make sure that things are safe and secure moving forward into the future. So this is forward looking. So doubting, is it going to continue to work in the future, right? So inspiring new things to take a look at what the patterns are to move forward in the future. Fuel is the question. This is a pressure function, right? So it fuels the question. And the suspicion or doubt is merely a pressure. So one of the things as we go through and take a look at 63, one of the things to realize is this is not to make decisions. And oftentimes it's a pressure. It comes from and it's part of a pressure function. And so there can be this pressure to have answers. But again, it's merely a pressure. It doesn't mean that you have to do anything or act on it or make decisions from that place. It's simply a pressure. So Chris, Lavina, I would love to hear your take, your insights, any ahas that you see as we're talking about trait 63 of doubt. Chris or Lavina, go Lavina.
I was pointing to Lavina. I was like, go for it.
Hey, so doubt as far as the after completion, I'm wondering if that's something I should address now, or I haven't had a
Sure.
chance to look at the okay.
Yeah.
So the reason it's really interesting because 64 is called before completion and 63 is after completion. It always confused me in the beginning. But if you think about it, when you have an experience, after that experience, there's always this projection into the future. Okay, so I had this experience and now maybe that establishes a pattern. And is this pattern going to be consistent as we move into the future? That's the doubt, that's the pressure. So after the completion of the experience, then we have doubts about what the future may hold. So that's what this job of 63 is. So when we have one of these mental pressure traits activated in the transit, there's all of this trying to figure it out with the mind, what's going to happen. So next time I'm going to say this, and if I do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to get that. And there's all this logical, okay, there's this pattern here, but life is not necessarily always fixed and rigid and logical. Fate steps in the way. You get all kinds of challenges and experiences and the best laid plans of mice and men, that kind of thing. So it leads me to remind everybody not to make a mental decision because of a past experience, but to instead source into your decision-making strategy.
Yeah, beautifully said.
Yeah.
And thanks for explaining that too, because that makes it really clear what this after completion is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And one of the things too, you brought up that it's in the collective circuitry. So it's not necessarily personal. And one of the things that can happen, I see with my clients often, is if they have this trait or it's being activated, like now, is a lot of internal doubt, like the doubt becomes turned inward, or, and I've seen this in my relationships too, is that the person who carries this trait may be asking questions like, well, this is what happened in the past. How am I going to see that that's not going to happen again in the future? Like they're and it's not personal, but the way they talk about it is very personal. And so their family members may be like, geez, back off. Like, what the heck? And and can cause some miscommunication because of that. So that is some of the ways that I've seen it play out with my clients and also personally.
Yeah, beautiful. And yes, Lavina.
Oh, I was just agreeing. And one of the things that we recognize here with the mental pressure is that there's all these inspirations or, movements of your mind's process where it kind of feels like there's maybe a lot of things going on, but then all of a sudden something crystallizes into a direction that is about the future, and that pattern recognition that you have. And this whole week we can experience it where it's about the expectations placed on the experience based on what happened in the past. And we just know that life is a spiral. It doesn't happen exactly the same, over and over again. So there's always this evolution, just to let go of that need to have a certain answer, a fixed answer, and to just let the questions kind of percolate and pass you by and really go back into your source of your decision making rather than trying to fixate or lock into a certain expectation of the future.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so, especially with a trait like this activated, Chris and Lavina both mentioned this as well, but I just want to reiterate this. Don't make decisions from the mind. Don't make decisions because of the pressure of doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Because that doubt can pressure you to make decisions that are not correct. They can pressure you to think that you need to make decisions in the mind, to think that you have to figure it all out, to think that you need to act or do something now because you're doubting what's happening. So it's very interesting how it shows up. And what I invite you to do is start to recognize, especially this week, the last few days and the next couple days, start recognizing, where are you doubting things? Right? You may be doubting relationships. You may be doubting, I've been doubting, am I going to be able to handle all of this as we've been transitioning? Where are those doubts showing up? And realize that they're just doubts. And the doubts are a part of inspiration, so that you can use that pressure to ask questions, to start to recognize the patterns that will allow us to move forward into the future. If we get so caught up, it can drive us nuts. It can drive us, mentally crazy. It's one of those traits that it's so much mental pressure. Yesterday, I ended up having a headache, right? Because just this mental pressure. I was just looking where trait 63 is. That's exactly where I felt my headache, which was very funny. So just realize that there's a lot of mental pressure happening right now, and just allow it to be. Don't need to do anything with it. Just allow it to be.
I love what you just said though too about both of you, around letting the doubts be again that source of inspiration, where you go, wow, I really have doubts about how this is going to work going forward. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, that actually, like, with some inquiry, you can use that energy to create a new future, right? And to be inspired to go, you know what, I'm doubtful that it's working, or that it'll work into the future, because there are certain things that really haven't, and I haven't had the time or the energy or the clarity to really see those things. And now I do. So now that I have that, I can ask those questions and really get clear moving forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, when we're taking a look at 63, it's also taking a look at quality 3, which is continuance. And remember, 3 is the most material. Remember, it's the pioneer. It's where things really get moving. And so if we take a look at doubt in the context of continuance, the evolution, or elevations, there we go. The elevation is the dedication to the new beginning that insists on maintaining its achieved principles despite having to interact with those who may not have attained such a state. So doubts that one can maintain one's principles when interacting with others. So we have this picture here of kind of like the old life and the new life, right? The 3 is the trial and error. The 3 is the change. And it's almost like, okay, you're committing to doing something new, but you may have doubts that, can you continue into this, in a sense, new life, when everybody else may not have achieved such a state and may not even support you, in that direction. We also have the challenge of success at any price, the pressure to eliminate the doubt at any cost, right? So just sort of plowing ahead, just kind of accepting whatever the answers are, because, that's just what you're doing. So, Chris.
God, what the hell? I swear to God, since we started with trait 41, this year, is it hot in here, or is it just me? Okay, so what is you're reading that elevation, I am just cracking up. So on a personal note, I am sharing this to my personal page, and part of what has been such an amazing thing is that I have a huge amount of doubt about showing up with my work and bridging the gap between my personal life and my work life on my personal page in Facebook. And really everywhere in my life. Like, it's been I call it the separation of church and state, the separation of my work and my life, my personal life, who I am and what and how I am and just how I show up, and really editing that. And I've had so much doubt about whether or not it's okay to do that. So I'm sharing that with you guys today because this is so much about talking. This is so talking about that. And that it's like, can I go ahead and do that? Because there's like, what if people don't like it? What if there's certain people in my life who don't like the way I express myself, and to go, fuck it. Like, this is like, I'm going to. And so just think about, where are you, if you're listening to this and you're watching this, like, where are you going, God, I'm really feeling like I want to go in this new direction, this new way. I want to express myself in a different way. And I have a lot of doubts about what will happen if I do that. And it can be deeply profound. I even had some really deep, profound shifts happen internally this morning around this, just to be able to do that. So
Wow.
I'm just chuckling. Every week we've done these, I'm like, oh my God. Like I feel like my life is just right. Everything that we're talking about. So
Love it. Love
yeah.
it. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Chris. And
Yeah.
that's, that's a big deal.
It's
That's
a
a
big
big deal.
deal.
And like you said, it matches exactly what this is all about.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Wow.
I think there's other people who are experiencing this. And I share these personal stories because it's like, this is how it can show up. Maybe it's showing up in a little different way for someone else, or something, but it's at work, where do you want to take your company in a new direction? And you're afraid that everybody else wants the status quo. Where have you had doubt about moving forward? And you're, spinning in that.
Yeah.
So that could be a way of thinking about if you're, in a CEO position right now and you're thinking about that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How about for you, Lavina?
I've gotten distracted by some questions. Can I bring them into the
Yeah,
table?
absolutely.
Okay. So from Facebook, Stephanie is asking, if this trait is open, but you feel this pressure, is it from someone else? Most of my chart is open. And Stephanie, the reason why we're talking about it today is because this is where the quality of the day is happening right now. And so that's why you feel this pressure. If you feel this doubt this whole week, so the last 3 days and 3 more days, about 6 days where we have this kind of energy. And Isabella is asking, does that mean that one always has the one or the other if this is their activation, always having the doubt or always having the pressure to eliminate doubt? And yes, if this is your activation, if it's not colored in, like right now in what we're looking at on this slide is a yellow triangle. And if it's white or clear, you just have that 63, it's going to be inconsistently activated. But if you have the whole strength of 64-47, 61-24, then you're going to have this doubt that is there experienced by you, depending on whether you're trying to focus on the future or think about the future and where the pattern is going and everything, but it's going to be flavored by the way that it's being activated. Now, if you just have the 63-4, then that's a fixedness. It's a locking in. So it really depends on what the activation is on the other side as far as whether you'll experience this or that. They're basically two sides of the same coin, elevation and challenge, or ease and difficulty, you could think of it. It's just that and we think of this as like, oh my gosh, I really want all the elevations and I don't really want the challenge. The challenge is not a problem. The challenge is just that the most of the collective, when they look at the challenge, they go, oh, well, that's a problem. That's wrong or bad or, difficult and not easy. And that is something, if you have it in your design in the challenge, that's absolutely required for you to fulfill your experience of your expression of this life. So one of the things I like to remind people of when they see elevation and challenge is that it's not necessarily better to have a whole bunch of elevations. It might be easier, but what happens when you get life handed to you on a silver plate sometimes? You don't really have the, experience of success at doing something yourself, and it's just too easy. And then you might get into like depression because you have everything you want, but it doesn't really feel satisfying or fulfilling. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, what is that called? It's a parable, good news, bad news.
Mm.
You know, it's kind of like that, where it's just look at what you have in your design and just watch how it expresses in your life. It's a key, it's a signpost to help you recognize what's going on, and not that one is better than the other. It just is what it is, and to accept it and not try to be down really hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. If you see like this, success at any price, the pressure to eliminate the doubt at any cost, if that's you, celebrate that, because that's you, you know? So anyway, I hope that helps. Some of these questions.
Yeah. Beautiful. Are there any other questions?
Let's see. Combining, Stephanie says, combining personal life and business life. She's feeling that, Chris, in response to what you said. Yeah.
Hi, Stephanie. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And she said, yes, Isabella said, yes, exactly. After understanding the traits better, the whole descriptions might make more sense too than just the qualities themselves, which we're looking at today. Sarah is saying, I've definitely seen character differences between those who have numerous elevations and those who have numerous challenges.
That's true. I have seen that too. But again, I think of it similar to what you were just saying, is that, you know, the design locks us into experiencing the world in a certain way through a certain configuration, and it is the key to unlock it. So if you're in challenge, the success at any price, the pressure to eliminate the doubt at any cost, like how is that locking you into a certain experience? And how could you, by owning that and surrendering to that, it be the key to unlocking it? And that is true of every single aspect of your design.
Yep.
So while it's fit, you know, while it's design, you know, you have it in your design and the design doesn't change, our expression of the design can change. And that is why it's like this surrender and moving forward, you know, like not surrendering like, oh, this is my life, this is my design, I'm screwed. You know, or look at me, I'm so great. It's more just like, wow, look at how this shows up in the world. Look at how I show up in the world, and how does that feel good or not? And you get to work with it, and nobody is a victim, you know? So
Exactly. And they're all pieces of the puzzle.
absolutely.
And they're all really core key elements to life itself.
Yeah.
You know, I was just reading a quote from Ra that basically when you're studying human design, what you're studying is really the mechanics of the entire universe, right?
Yeah.
This is how things work. This is how things operate. We can relate to all of these different elements. And when you have it, for example, fixed either in the challenge or the elevation, you may have it fixed both ways, or you may be going back and forth between either one. When you are operating correct, this is something that, in a sense, you can quote unquote take advantage of, you know, in very positive ways, just like what Chris was saying. So sometimes your mess is your message, and it's the struggles or the challenges that really make, just like Lavina was saying, that make life rich and exciting, you know, and provoke others. I mean, part of the pressure here, if you do have this trait defined, is in a sense you're pressuring others or inspiring others with your questions, right? Sometimes they can be very uncomfortable for others.
Oh,
right?
hell yes.
When
Very,
you're
very
asking so many questions.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But if you don't ask the question, you never get the answer, right? And you know, so this starts to unlock those answers, and again, unlock that inspiration preceded by doubt. Yeah. So let's take a look at the celebrity that we have here. We actually have Chaz Bono. And if you're not familiar with who Chaz Bono is, he's a reality star and LGBT activist. He's the only child of Sonny and Cher Bono. And he made his realization that he was gay when he was 13, before realizing as adult that he was transgender, and underwent a female to male gender reassignment surgery in 2008 to 2010. So you know, just kind of taking a look at what we just took a look at with the theme, like you may be changing, right? And she changed in a big way, right? Um, regardless of, you know, what other people thought, or that they may not be as accepting of that. And his life work theme is consciousness. So you are looking beyond the needs to why we are here. By questioning, testing the patterns, and flowing with life, you rise above the desire for more experience, right? So it's really, you can see that it was really testing and questioning his sexuality, right? Male, female, doing the transgender, how does that work? Really that question, and then making the decision then also to transition as well. So again, I always find it really fascinating as you take a look at this mapped on to the celebrities that we look at. You can start to see how that actually shows up and how it relates as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Would you like to add anything, Lavina, in taking a look at his design as well?
Well, the thing that comes to mind, I don't know the person, Chaz, but one of my favorite students recently who came into classes has this life work, and it's undefined, you know, the inspiration function as well. And the questions that she asks are just a delight. You know, the kind of questions that you're like, oh, that's such a wonderful, amazing question. And this is what this is about, the 63 and the 64, the inspiration functions, it's questions. My daughter also has this life work theme. And I don't know the genetics enough, but looking at the 60, looking at the 14, looking at the 51, the 25, all of this powerful individuality, 34, 57, 39, you know, there's a lot of energy there that is about bringing forth something entirely and utterly new. And so having the courage and the determination to be able to go your own way, follow your own path, and to live as an example of somebody who embraced their difference. I think this is very inspiring design, very inspiring story. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Really cool.
And when we were looking at the elevation in the last slide, and right here, for those of you who are confused, it should say trait 63.3.
Yeah,
just
sorry.
so you guys. But if we go back
Yeah.
to the elevation for a moment, despite having to interact with those who have not attained such a, so like that, you know, Chaz is like, well, you know, other people may not have caught up with the decision that I'm making here. This is where I'm going. This is who I am. And I'm going to keep going that way, whether or not other people are going to follow, or whether they're going to get it, or it doesn't matter. I can't, you know, and I think that that's just to point that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly. I'm going to make this, sorry about 63.3.
no, it's okay.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I just wanted to, in case anybody's like, what? But, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
Fixed.
sweet. There you go. It's magic. It's PDF magic. Or, PowerPoint.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, this is I mean, and just think of the level of consciousness that it takes for Chaz and others who have this life theme, who are like, we're more than this, you know, meat suit, as Ra and I know Leanne often uses that term too, you know, like we're more than that.
Yeah.
And to be able to see that, to be able to see that in the future of where we're going and as individuals, and to express that again takes just an incredible amount of courage, just a ton of courage, and it's awesome. Yeah.
And think about all the doubts that are associated with that as well, right?
Yeah.
Like the doubts of, what's wrong with me, or the doubts of I feel different, or the doubts of why don't I fit in, or should I do this, or shouldn't I do this? I mean, there's a lot of doubt that goes, that goes into a decision such as this. And so, it really, it shows that, again, it does take that courage, to step forward. And that's part of, the third quality, being the pioneer, right? And it being so material. The pioneer is here to do something new and different, maybe something that hasn't been recognized before. And this is collective, right? Remember, we're taking a look at this 63 being collective. The collective doesn't necessarily like change, even though it's in the 3. Right? Even though it's trait 3. So, so there can be a lot of mental turmoil in that doubt and uncertainty and, not knowing which way to go. Yet, again, if you allow the doubt to be there, not make decisions from there, that's where you have to be very careful, make decisions correctly, right? That's what allows you to move forward successfully into the future.
Exactly. I also just want to point out too about line 3 being physical, the material world, and he underwent surgery. So this isn't just like, not just as if coming out and this is just, but as a, like, this is commitment in a way that is a very right. And so we're literally changing the physical, the material world to match consciousness, right? So it's really when you get like that level of it too, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Sarah is sharing from the group. I have a 63-3 in my unconscious communication and thinking, and I definitely relate to what you just said. I'm going this way whether you have caught up with how I think or whether or not I'm even certain of what lies ahead. That's beautifully encapsulates what this is about. And she has an undefined up there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And Lisa Marie is contributing. I have so much moving through me at the moment, really enjoying the creative thoughts, where and who to collaborate with, where to take my next move with human design, to satisfy my curiosity and personal adventure and apply my ever-growing business in its evolution. Isabella is sharing, I just understood why I normally don't have any questions, no active gates in my inspiration function, but 63 is connecting to my 4 at the moment. There it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is what's amazing about what we're taking a look at, and also just amazing about BG5 and the human design system, is all of the different ways that we can take a look at this one trait, right? Just this one trait, and we can see the myriad of ways that it can be applied. You can apply it on a personal level, whether you have it defined or not defined, right? You can apply it on a global level because you can see that theme show up in the universe. We can apply it today at the daily level because there's the transit there that is impacting us and pressuring us all with these questions. You can take a look at it within connections within relationships as well. It's something that we take a look at in BG5 certification in the semester 2, right? About relationships and the connection with relationships. So there's multiple different levels and layers that simply taking a look at one trait, right? And even taking a look at one trait in a particular quality, that we can see all of the different layers and levels that are there and that are available. Yeah, amazing. All right, any other questions before we wrap up for today? All right, I love the participation. Thank you so much for all of your questions and your input, all of you that are watching us live on Facebook and those of you who are here live in our Zoom room as well. So just to quickly wrap things up, again, I do encourage you to check out our new website. Take a look at what's there, create a free report, especially if you are not familiar with what your career design is all about. Create a free report. You can also create your chart now as well. So your career design chart you can create on the website as well. And check out our courses and programs. And again, you can check out our BG5 Live if you go to the website. website each day. Again, it changes every 5 minutes, so it updates every 5 minutes, so it'll change as things change, so you can see what the theme is of the moment. So often what I like to do is, like, especially if I'm challenged with something or I'm seeing a pattern that's showing up, I take a look here and go, oh, that explains it. Then I can relax. It's not just me. It's the theme that's going on currently. So please check out our courses. New courses start always in January, May, and September. So you can start taking a look at and preparing for the classes that are coming up in May. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us and your contribution. I'd love to hear our inspiration from our panel moving forward for this week. What should people keep in mind? Chris.
Yeah, I'm just contemplating about how, when you said you're coming up with challenges and you look at it and go, oh, that's what's going on. It's like, also notice how these transits support you in your growth and support what's happening. Because I've also, as much as I've been challenged by the doubts, because I don't have it and people close to me have it, but also just looking at it in terms of the transit, like how much it's actually supported a choices and transitions that have been long overdue for me. And then the other piece of that too, and Lavina brought this up, is, to watch this energy, watch the doubts, but go back to your decision-making strategy. Because ultimately, even if you don't do any of this and you don't look at transits and you don't, like, if you just get your decision-making strategy down, this is crucial. It's absolutely crucial. And then the rest becomes awesome information that can support you along the way. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
How about for you, Lavina?
Well, that was such a great reminder, and that would be my recommendation as well. Just remember too that we've gone through a lot of really heavy activations. There's a lot of stuff that's deeply powerful, mutative, really, really life-changing transits right now. And at this moment, there are two individual activations from circuitry that is deeply turning us inward. And we have a brief respite from this week from the emotional system being activated, from the core essence, the sun. And you can take maybe a step back, go inward right now in this week. It's a good time for that, and really go into what is my inner truth, what's true for me, what's authentic and honest and real, and just stick with that. And next week, the next couple of weeks, as we go back into that emotional field of all kinds of, it's still there, the 55 uncertainty, what is that word? Indecisiveness. Just remember to stick with your decision-making strategy, and everything will be exactly perfect as what it needs to be. Yeah, you'll get exactly what you need, and it's all okay if you can just align yourself to your highest truth.
Yeah, beautifully said.
Thanks.
Beautifully said. Yeah. So just be aware of the pressure. And again, this is mental pressure. Mm-hmm. And so don't make the pressure mean anything. I don't have the 63, but I have the 64, and I have it 4 times in my design. And so it's this mental pressure. And one of the things that I've learned is that even though the pressure is there, to just allow it to be. Like, just look at it and watch the pressure without having to act or react, without having to force anything or without having to do anything, just watching the pressure, allowing the pressure to be there, and in a sense, appreciating it for what it's there. So this is a time to question things, and it's okay. It's okay if you have doubts, right? And that a doubt is what actually leads to inspiration moving forward in the future. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Check out our new website, and look forward to seeing you all next week. All right, bye, everyone.